Um, we are getting ready. Okay, we're ready to go. So, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mark Banfield. I'm hosting this webinar. We're going to talk today about objections. I have two other experts. There's a third one that's another one that's coming. So, beside me right now, who just got out of his chair, is Mark Shinneberry. Mark, would you like to tell us a little bit about you?
Sure. I'm Mark Shinneberry. I've been in the sales, marketing, and training field for about 32 years.
Okay, cool. And below me on my screen is Mike, Mike Mersman of
Hi.
Cars, and Concepts and Reality. And Mike, you want to tell us a little bit about you?
No. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I will. I will. I
That's
will.
fine. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I'm kind of like Mark Shinneberry. He's taught me everything he knows, and I'm telling you what, if it hadn't been for him, I don't know what I'd have done. But no, I've been struggling around in this business since, well, I won't tell you since when, but it's been a long time. And I remember when I didn't know anything, and sometimes I still feel like I don't know anything, but I've been able to, should I say, eke out a living for the last 40 some years. And it's all because I committed to doing one thing after I kind of floundered around for a while, like so many people do. So, but yeah, my whole deal was if I can make other people better, it would probably raise my boat as well. And don't you know, it did. So I'm really happy to be here and join you guys.
Good deal. All right. Well, I'm going to open up. I've got a presentation that I've started up here talking about objections. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to talk a little bit about the slides. You guys interrupt me, give me your input. But we're talking about how you deal with objections. And objections are one of those things that are part of the sales process, regardless of how you do it. So let me get into this. Basically, who this session is for is anyone in sales, whether you're the leader, the owner, or just the frontline team professional. That's what we're talking about here. Because if you can't handle the objections, if you can't answer the customer's concerns, you're probably not going to close them. So next 45 minutes or so, we're going to help you be ready for opportunities that are coming. We're going to help you be able to build a strong referral business, because if you do the job right, like I talked about last week, if you do the sales right and close them properly, they're going to refer you to customers that you can sell from there. Lastly, how to close those customers effectively. And again, the most effective part of closing is you've got to deal with the objection first. So again, this is me. This is my two daughters. I've been in the business for a long time too. Long enough that I've calculated I've trained over 100,000 salespeople through the years at the different places, different stops I've been, whether it's been General Motors or Ford or whoever. I've trained a lot of people and helped them up their game, as Mike said, raise the level of the boat they're in, which raises the level of the boat I'm in. So selling's not hard to understand. Selling at its heart is just getting the customer what they need, but neither is objection handling. When you really look at objections properly, it's not a tough process. The problem is salespeople make assumptions at the wrong time and then go in the wrong direction, and that's what we're going to talk about. So I mentioned this the last time. The world has changed. It's going to continue to change. No longer can you just say, here's what I have, here's my price, take it or leave it. Customers have a multitude of options to actually go and pick. You are not the only one selling and offering what you have. So you have to make sure that you can be the person that they need to give them what they need. So how do you best dial? That should say deal. I apologize for my spelling. With objections. So remember this. The key point I made the last time was customers buy when their compelling need is met by a credible solution that offers perceived value. And if you remember, if you saw that last webinar, Mike actually added that compelling need. You can submit the word want to that statement, because sometimes they have a want that isn't necessarily a need. They are different things, but both wants and needs can drive the buying process. So understand that. So let's talk about how you handle objections. Okay, she's a little puzzled. She doesn't look like she knows how to do it. So let's talk about this. So the process that I want to submit for your approval is something called Erica. And Erica is a process to actually handle objections. And the pathway is you start with empathy, you move to refine, you reposition, you isolate, you commit, and you answer. And I want to talk about each one of those steps along the way. And that's where the input of my panel is going to actually come in. So the biggest salespeople make more than others. So what is it? Okay, more than any other. It's going to cost them more closes than anything else. What do you two guys think is the biggest mistake salespeople make?
Me first?
I don't care.
Okay.
You both got a microphone.
Okay. Well, I'll throw this out. The biggest mistake that I think most salespeople have, or that they make, is the first thing they do is take an objection personally.
Okay.
If it is personal, then you just need to be big enough person to defer them over to another salesperson. But that's usually not the case. What you have to think about, and I think I mentioned it last week, was that even though it may be framed or let's say pronounced a little bit differently, it's not a slam, it's a question. If you look at it as a question, what it is it's a cry for give me more information. It's an opportunity to educate. Okay?
Okay.
I think
So
that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, we're going to cover all of that. But to answer this question, I'm going to pin you down. What is the biggest mistake they make?
Well, the biggest mistake is they don't listen.
Okay. All right, Mark, I'm going to throw it to you now.
So one of the, I agree with what Mike said. Absolutely. They take it personal. They don't listen. But I'm going to throw this out there. Often when a customer asks a question, they're just asking a question, and the salesperson, again, not listening, right away think it's an objection, and they start trying to answer the objection, and really all they had to do was answer the question and move on.
Yeah, very true. So my answer is they start to try to close too soon, which kind of fits with both of what you said. So they really aren't in a position where the customer has given them the buying signals, where the customer they're just trying to close too soon. I see it all the time. People come in, they come in for a reason, come to the business for a reason. They've got a goal when they're there. And the salesperson immediately does a little bit of whatever they're supposed to do and then tries to close them. And that's just not going to work. At that point in time, you're throwing numbers, you're throwing stuff against the wall, and you're hoping that some of it sticks and you close some. And that is not even going to be a good way to go. So they try to close too soon. If you try to close too soon, the answer is probably going to be what?
No.
Thank you. Or I've got to think about it, or I need to, all of the other things that you hear start to pop up because, again, they haven't been taken to the point where they can say yes. So let's talk about Erica. The first step of Erica then is empathize. So understand this. Empathize doesn't mean you agree with the customer when they give you the objection. You're not agreeing with the objection at all. It's just about showing them that we can see things from their perspective. It shows that you listen to the point of view. So what would that sound like? I'm going to turn to my two panelists. Do any of you two guys have an idea of what that would sound like?
You're up, Mark.
You want to take a stab at this?
I do, but
I'm telling you, you guys do it naturally. So the customer gives you an objection. What do you come back with? How do you respond immediately to their objection?
Well, you're right, Mike. You're right, Mark. It's natural, right? I don't even think about it. If a customer gives me an objection, I'm going to I'm going to listen to what their objection is, then I'm going to repeat it back to them. I might even rephrase it a little bit and put it in my words.
Okay.
And just confirm that I heard what they were saying correctly.
Right. And that's one of our points down the line. But this process actually says you say something like, you don't want to say, I hear what you're saying, but in essence, that's the message. So you agree with, you have a right to have that concern. I understand that you are concerned about the price. So it's kind of the empathizing, agreeing with them, and rephrasing it back to them at the same time. So some way you say it, but you don't say, hey, I understand that price is too high. No, that's not what you do, right? Because then, right, or, I agree that the product isn't quality. Okay, no.
Well, let's face it. How many times do you emphasize? Do you repeat back to them? Do you rephrase it? And they say, no, that's not what I was saying.
That's exactly right. So that's why the second point is to refine. And that's what you were just saying, Mark. Customers don't mean what they say. They don't say what they mean. The objection is ambiguous. And the result is we answer the wrong objection, which means we get frustrated because we don't understand. It's like, well, I just did a great job, the best in the universe of addressing that concern that you threw at me. Why aren't you going to buy now? I don't get it. Well, it's because that wasn't right. So we need to refine it down. And that sounds like, Mark, you want to take a shot? I'll give you a second shot at this because I think you can do this one. How would you refine it? So if I tell you, Mark, I don't want to buy today because I need to make sure my budget works right for this purchase.
So, Mark, what you're saying is you're not sure if this is going to fit into your budget today?
Yeah, just let them, and sometimes just saying it back, using their exact words, they realize either how silly they sound or how wrong they sound. But they have to, if you use their own words to them, they can't say, no, that's not what I said. And if they do say, no, that's not what I said, you may have different issues going on. Right?
Right.
Mike, did you have something you wanted to say there?
Well, actually, yes and no. A couple of things as far as when you begin to mirror this back to the customer, what it does if you paraphrase, and Mark, you alluded to that as well. Sometimes you can just do it word for word right back at them. And I'll tell you one thing, that will absolutely guarantee to them that you are listening. Okay. If you're not quite sure, then put it in your own words and do sort of paraphrase it. But they have to respect you for that. And what this does, you really want to look for this opportunity to refine strictly because it helps ingratiate you to the customer. One thing about selling is that unless you're just a clerk in a store, and that's not selling, that's just taking an order. But when you can generate a sale by your interactions and skillfulness that you maybe were born with, very few people are, most everybody learns how to sell. It's just in communications, and it does give you a relationship that people really look for when they're buying things.
Yeah, very good.
So that's my 2 cents anyway.
Right. So far we have empathized with them. You've got a right to have that, to think that way. We've refined it by distilling it down to what the actual objection is. The next point is to reposition it. And that's restating it a little differently. And again, you guys have been talking around that. So I want to make clear that this process isn't cut and dried, clean separation things. It all flows together, right?
Absolutely.
So make the initial objection clear, hopefully smaller and easier to handle. And it sounds like, so if we're talking about the customer that's got the concern about the budget, is you could paraphrase that by saying, so, I understand, it makes sense that you would be concerned about your budget. And so what you're really worried about then is, can this payment allow you to still maintain your budget and not break your bank?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's repositioning it by stating it, trying to distill it down. And then they can come back sometimes and say, no, that's not quite it. And what do we do at that point in time?
When we get to ask, what is exactly it?
Right. So then you can have a little circular dialogue to really get it down and clarify what that objection is. Because again, if you don't have the right objection, you're not going to be able to handle the right objection, and you're not going to get the customer to buy your product. So the next point is to isolate. Okay, you need to ask a very clear, direct, and closed-ended question at this point in time. You need to find out if there's anything else from stopping the customer, getting in the way. And if it's not the only objection, you do that circular thing. So Mark and I particularly have trained a lot of classes for some corporations in our lifetime. And this was always a big part of it, wasn't it, Mark?
Yes, it was.
So what's the question you want to ask at this point in time?
So, Mark, other than price, is there any other reason you would not take this product home with you today?
Yes or no question, right? Some people, I've heard some people say, well, I can't do that because that's hard selling, right? No, it's not. It's just asking the customer to clarify and to make a decision. You can't, if you can't force the customer to say yes or no, you're never going to close them. And this is an early point, and you're not asking them to buy, you're just ensuring that you both have the same understanding of what's going on here. That's all you're trying to do.
Can I throw something in there just a minute?
Yeah, sure, Mike.
One thing, and of course, you know, we are used to the automobile industry, but this is kind of across all boards. You've heard of salespeople asking customers or potential customers, what's it going to take to earn your business today? Okay. At this, they don't know. Do not ask a customer a question like that, because they will not have an answer for you.
No.
And they will be embarrassed. And if they're embarrassed, they will not buy from you.
Right. And what they're going to come back with, in all probability, to that question is going to be a ridiculously low price that is either that you can't get to, or that's going to take all of your profit.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's something you can't do. And there again, that leads to the embarrassment.
Right.
It's okay if you're embarrassed.
They're looking for a way out.
Yeah.
They're looking for a way out at that time.
Don't take a chance on embarrassing a customer. It's okay to ask them a yes or no question as you get to the point where you feel like you've earned a decision, and that's totally up to you. And I know you'll get to that later on in the training, Mark, but this kind of goes back to that area. You messed this up and you kind of blew the deal. So.
Exactly. And yet, you know, guys, we've all been in dealerships. We've all been in businesses where that question, what's it going to take for you to buy today? And whatever variation that they use for that. But that question gets asked at the start of the negotiation process. It gets at this before an objection's even been presented, they throw that out there. Not going to work. By the way, the next session I'm going to do is going to focus on negotiation. What are the ways to how do you best negotiate? So, but continuing on with Erica here, we're now up to the C, and the C is the commit. Okay, now understand though, this is not asking the customer to commit to buy. So this is not the close. This used to be called, in training I've done in the past, a trial close. In essence, you're asking them to commit that you have handled their concern or objection. So if we back to the budget. Mike?
Yeah.
If I could show you a way, or if I could show you that when you purchase this widget, that the cost of this widget will fit in your budget and still allow you to maintain the lifestyle that you like, would you then consider purchasing it? Would you then look at buying the widget?
I would definitely consider it.
Okay, so Basically, he said yes to my concern. He's still not sold.
So what I said was, tell me more.
Right. He said, tell me more. So again, that's where we then at the next point, or with the last point, remember the last point says if it's not the only objection, you return to the start. What I heard from Mike was, yes, you've dealt with this, but there's something else there.
Yeah.
So so if Mike were to say, again, repeat that, Mike.
What did I just say? Oh, I said, yeah.
But
Well, yeah, but okay. If it hits all the bases for me, then yeah, I can. We can move forward with the deal.
okay, but when you said it originally, you said you might consider it.
Well, okay.
Okay,
I
so if a customer were to say that, and they can, that's where you say, okay, then what else is there keeping you from moving forward with this? Because obviously and this is now me out of character, there's something else there. They may have said when you asked them previously, is there anything else? And they said, nope, that's it. How many times have you guys been in a closing situation where you've asked that question? They've said, no, there's nothing else. And then there's something else that shows up.
Yeah, and the issue is normally, what is it, vegetable, animal, or mineral, or something like that.
Right.
It goes back to, okay, what is the situation that we need to match up with to make this a compatible deal?
Okay. Mark?
Yeah, we haven't sold them on the product yet. If they say maybe here, right? We haven't answered all of their questions. There's something that we're missing.
Right.
You made reference to the car industry, right? That's where the majority of my experience comes from, and from experience, 9 times out of 10, what I've discovered in a situation like this is the customer may not have even driven the car yet. Or maybe they didn't see the car; they just saw pictures of it. So the demo, whatever the product is, the demonstration wasn't completed. There's something that has not been answered.
Yeah, and it's very possible that they're on the wrong product. That we have not given them that credible solution to their need. We've offered them the wrong thing, and they're just not willing to say that, because they don't know what to say at that point in time. So let me go to the next point. The last point is the answer. And then only at the end do we provide the answer or solution to the customer's need. So you've handled those concerns, and then you offer the credible solution. So basically what I'm saying is we're doing Erica early on before we've landed them on the actual final solution. And I know Mark and Mike and me in the car business, that is so foreign to their thinking that they can't imagine going through an objection handling process with the customer without having a stock number and a VIN ready to write down on a buyer's order. But if you go through this objection handling, so you find out what their need is, right? You potentially have, I've got this solution here. Then they throw out reasons why, and you deal with them through this process, and then you offer the final credible solution. And if you have offered the proper solution and you've handled their concerns, they confirm that they're ready because you asked them, is there anything keeping you in the way? And they said, no, I'm ready to go. If you handle that, I'll buy. Now when you say, okay, fine, here's my solution, here's the price, here's whatever. Can we write you up? Can we wrap it up? When can we deliver it? Whatever closing question you want to use, you now can offer it. Comments on that?
This just, you got me thinking here. I've been in the software business now for the past few years, selling to car dealers, and I started thinking about this. Many times I went in with one of my team members to back them up, to take a turnover or assist them when they were trying to close a deal, and I discovered that they were either one, trying to sell the customer the wrong product, not what the customer initially reached out to us for, what they were looking for, or was trying to sell them everything that we had to offer, which again is the wrong product, and they didn't want to spend that much money. And if they would have slowed down, listened to the customer, found out what their needs were, they could have presented them with the correct solution. And sometimes we were able to do that by starting over and going over again. Sometimes we didn't.
Right. And sometimes it does require starting over, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
We
Mike?
get, well, yeah, if you need to, and you got to plan on this, okay? It's not to start over, but circle back.
Yes.
Okay. We got to make sure that this is it's not just a sale. We're in for the long haul. It needs to be a good sale, which means it has to be built on a strong foundation. And sometimes you just got to go back and put another block or two in the foundation so that this whole thing will stand up over time.
Yeah, I agree. So that is the objection handling process. I want to go back to the beginning of Erica. Whoops, did I pass her? Why is Erica not showing up? There it is. There's Erica. I'll be all right. So let's kind of do a quick role play here using this process. So one of you two be a customer to me, and I'll go through the process to kind of illustrate it. All right. So we'll do a quick role play. Don't laugh, Mike. I can do this.
All right. Yeah.
Don't be harsh on me. Okay. Be a nice customer. Let's go through the steps. So which one of you want to be my customer?
I'll be your customer.
All right. So what are you buying? Tell me that. What kind of business?
What are you selling?
I don't care. You tell me the business and I'll make it work. I can.
Okay.
I mean, we can fall back on our car business stuff if you want to, but that's okay.
No. Let's do something. Sell me a suit.
A suit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a new suit.
All right. So just to set the background then, so Mike, you've been in the store, you've looked at the suits, you've tried on some suits, and we haven't actually, right? So you've got a couple, 3 that you're choosing from.
Okay.
And you now give me an objection. I haven't given you, so here's your suit, Mike, because by doing that, we're immediately to the price discussion, right? So now we're here up front. So, Mike, you've got these great suits in front of you here. What do you think?
Well, I really like what I see here from a quality standpoint, Mark, but I'm not really sure that I'm ready to buy it. I know you got a sale going on right now, and that's probably giving me enough pressure without you having to add any. So, but I'm not really sure that I'm ready to spend more than $29.95 on a 3-piece suit.
Okay. First of all, I don't want you to be under any pressure. Don't feel the need to feel under pressure. Let's just take that out of the prescription here. But, not being ready, it makes sense. When I go to a place, sometimes I'm not ready to buy. I have to process. But can you give me an idea of what it is that's holding you back? What is the reason that you're not ready to buy today?
Well, to be honest with you, it's money. And it's not your money, it's my money. I got to wait. I just got paid and I just paid my bills and I'm kind of like trashed right now. And I need the suit now because I'm hoping to get a new job in that great big office building down the street. But I got an interview on Wednesday and I don't have the money to pay you.
Okay. And again, this is very real world, right, guys? So, all right, Mike. Well, wow, that makes absolute sense then as to why you'd be a little hesitant about committing to purchasing a suit today. So, basically, then your concern is, how do you pay for this suit? Where's the money going to come from for this suit? Because of your financial situation. Would that be an accurate way to put it?
Yeah, pretty much. And along those lines, I mean, I could put it on a credit card, but I just paid my American Express bill, and that's why I'm kind of tap city right now.
Okay. So yeah, so money is very much a valid concern. It's something that I think everyone, if more people paid attention to, we might be in better position.
Yeah.
But let me ask you a question: is that the only thing holding you back from getting a suit today and getting it fitted today, so you're going to look great at your interview on Wednesday?
Well, yeah, pretty much, really.
Okay. When you say pretty much, is there anything else?
I like that green suit, but it makes my butt look big.
Okay. So again, we can't have your butt looking big, that's for sure. But let me ask you this then. So other than the concern about making the money aspect work and getting you a suit that makes you look attractive, is there anything else in holding you back from getting a suit today?
Well, not really. I should ask my wife, but she knows I'm looking for a job, so she'll probably forgive me this once.
Hey, Mark, did I tell him to be a nice customer or what? Okay,
work with me.
Okay, so let me just paraphrase what you're saying. Let me ask you this question: if I had a way to make the money process work for you, and we could put you in a suit that just made you look like the #1 CEO in America, at that point in time, would you still need to discuss this with your wife?
Not really. I mean, if we could do that, I could get her done.
Okay. All right. So, well, then what I have, and then here's where I would answer it. So based on what we've just talked about, our store does offer a 6-month deferment program whereby you can buy a suit today, only give us a $25 deposit, and then you have 6 months to start making payments. This isn't 6 months to pay it off. I'm telling you, because of the environment, because of the situation we're in, we're going to go 6 months out before your first money is due. So that would give you time to get the job that you look like you deserve in this suit and be able to pay for it in the future. And I guarantee you my seamstress can make that suit fit so that it'll hang properly on you and you won't have any concerns about any aspects of your physique in the suit.
Wow. Sign me up.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Mark, grade me on that. How did I do using the process?
You had a pretty tough customer there. I think you did pretty good.
Okay. All right. So,
Yes.
yeah, but again, that's real. Mike was being very real, right? Because again, he's got this concern. So he mentioned something earlier that I really want to bring up, that he talked about embarrassing customers. Okay. And that's why when he brought up the money situation, you have to deal with that very gently and gingerly. So I handled it, but he immediately came up with another objection, almost something silly, right, about how he looked in it. Then he threw the wife having to approve it out there. And so that's something that a customer can do that really is all being driven by that first objection, because how many of us want to admit we don't have the money?
Well, if you don't have the money, everybody doesn't want to admit to it.
Right. No one wants to. So that's almost a shame, embarrassment type of thing. So no one wants to say, I'd love to have the suit. I just can't buy it today. I don't even know why I came in the store because I really can't afford this. Right. I know I need it, but.
Yeah.
So that's why handling those other objections are important, but you still have to tie back to the first one and make them feel comfortable with the first one, that money objection. And sometimes it'll work that the money objection is the real reason. Sometimes it'll work that the last thing that comes out of them is the real reason. So it's like tilling the soil. You got to keep finding, you keep, those of you, if you've done anything with a garden over your lives, you know that when the first time you break ground for a garden and you till the soil, you got to keep raking it because you keep finding rocks. And you got to get rid of those rocks in the soil of the garden. And you got to keep at it. You can't just do it once. It takes some time to get through that and to actually do it properly. And that's what this process is with customers. You have to work them. You have to develop a relationship in this process, and it will develop a relationship if you do it properly. Now, I want to go back to something else real quick that you guys both talked about early on, and is not necessarily in the PowerPoint, the slides I just went through, and that was listening. Okay, so listening is a key aspect of the entire sales process, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Well, absolutely.
So what do you have to do? What does it take to listen properly? Any suggestions on
Well,
that?
first of all, clean out your ears. And
Well, what do you mean by clean out your ears?
Well, keep them open, listen, and shut up.
Okay. Is that easy for everybody?
No.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Salespeople like to hear themselves talk sometimes, don't they?
Yes.
Most of the time.
Salespeople tend to be outgoing. We tend to be, that high, a high I on the disc scale, very much outgoing. We do like to talk, right? It's what we do. And I am one, so I can definitely relate to this. So listening can be hard. The one point I want to make about listening is the first thing we do when we listen improperly is we latch onto the first thing they say and we start thinking of alternatives right away.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you're really having a conversation with how many people? Is it just you and the customer?
No, it's just you.
Yeah, it's you, maybe another you, and the customer. And how many times have you talked to someone where you're not listening properly? They get done talking and you think to yourself, what did they just say?
Yeah.
What were they talking about? That's not good. That's never good with a customer. So you have to shut your mind down and truly listen. And then at the end, so if you do that, I just want to make sure you understand and see this. If you listen properly and you block everything else out of your mind and you don't think about anything else and you really focus on what they're saying and what the words is they're saying and what they're trying to get across to you, when they're done and it's your turn to talk, are you ready to give them an answer?
You're probably ready to ask them an intelligent question again.
And what would be the purpose of asking them an intelligent question?
Well, to kind of give some depth to their question so you can answer it.
So it's going back to that isolating and refining process, right? So we're trying to make sure we heard everything properly. And this is great communication information for whether it's selling or whether you're in, your husband and wife or whatever. Listen to each other, communicate, right? So you're going to refine it down. But I guess the point I'm trying to make, if you had really focused on them and haven't started to think about how you're going to deal with what they're saying, when it's your time to talk, you need a little time to think about that, don't you?
Well, sure.
So do salespeople like silence? No. So what do?
They keep talking.
They talk. They fill the silence. What I would humbly suggest, and I've worked on this for myself for years and years and years, is to, when they're done talking, before you start talking, take a moment and think about what you need to say. Let there be a moment of silence.
True.
So that they understand that you're pondering what they just said, because you've got to think about it. Now, if you have studied your product, if you've studied, if you know what's going on, it shouldn't take you that long to go through this. We're not talking 5 minutes for you to think about this, right? I'm talking a few seconds. But even those few seconds can be deadly to the salesperson, can't they?
Well, I don't know about deadly, but they're terrifying to a salesperson.
Yeah. So they're afraid if they don't say something, the customer's going to get up and leave. Well, what's going to happen? And a lot of times, another thing we do is we will ramble with filler things that we can say without engaging the mind, right? So we're thinking about one thing, saying something else, so that when we finally get done with the mind cooking, we can then say what we want. Sometimes it's just better to let there be a moment of silence, ponder, as it were, what they said, and then give them an answer. And I think you'll get a better response from your customers if you do that.
Mark, I have a quick story. I'll try not to talk too much and take over your meeting, but I want to share this quick story with you about the silence. I had a client one time, a business owner, and I was in the finance. I was working for Ford Credit, actually, and I loaned this car dealer millions and millions of dollars. And it took me a while to earn his business, and once I did, we became friends. And I was in his office one time for a meeting, and I'm sitting there with him, and he takes a phone call. He gets this phone call, and he answers it. And he was only on the phone for just a few minutes, but I'm sitting there with him, waiting for him to finish the call, and I'm noticing that he's pausing dramatically for 45 to 60 seconds during this call. And he gets off the phone, and I'm looking at him. He says, "You notice the technique?" And I said, "Yeah, you use it on me all the time, especially when I was getting to know him." And he told me, he says, "Yeah, my father, who started the business, 50 years before, shared that with me. And he would use that technique to put the salesperson off base. The salesperson would be really nervous, and they just ramble on and then share all kinds of information with him. And he had total control of the call, of the meeting, and he was having fun with it. But I realized at that point that really helped me. This was about 25 years ago, and it really helped me just understand that whole concept, that it's okay to have some silence. It's okay to just slow down a little bit. Listen, pay attention. Okay, I'll shut up now.
No, that's great. That's a great story, Mark, because the point is, if you have handed the ball off to the other person and they're just holding the ball and looking at it and not talking, the onus is still on them to start talking, and they will. They definitely will.
Yes.
If you start talking during that time, you've let them off the hook. You grab the ball back from them, as it were. Don't do that. Don't do that. So, okay. So I put this up the last time. I'm going to put this up again. I think a key point in any of this that we're doing is you need to invest in yourself to become better. Read, watch videos, take seminars, go learn, improve yourself. You don't move up the ladder. You don't advance if you don't improve yourself. If you're going to stay where you're at right now, you're going to be where you're at right now, and it's just not what any of us want, I don't think. So earlier I talked about how to help you ready for the opportunities, how to build that referral business by relating to your customers, and how to close customers more effectively, because we've gotten them to the point where we've removed their objections. Those keys are just the beginning. I'm going to be hosting more webinars. And also, I do have an online sales training course if anyone is interested. The next 2 webinars that I'm hosting, one will be on Thursday, this coming Thursday at 11 a.m., and it's on negotiation, how to negotiate properly. The following one will be next Monday, the 6th at 10 a.m., and that's going to be on how to close the deal. How do you close it? These videos that I've already recorded, and those videos will be available live on my Facebook stream and also in the Be a Sales Master Facebook group. If you'd like to join the group, find it and ask to join, and I'll bring you in. It's a place dedicated to sales professionals. And if you'd like to be a professional with Mike and Mark, and this Mark and that Mark, just let me know. There's room for a total of 4 of us, and it's always fun when we have more people. While I put my contact information on the screen, I'm going to ask closing comments or anything else you guys want to talk about on this topic. And we'll go to Mike first this time. So, Mike, what do you want to say in wrapping up your part of this?
I think we really need to stress that this whole process is fluid. If you learn to do each step, you'll also learn that there are times, and I stress times because it's not always going to be the same way. You need to know what these steps are, because occasionally there will be things that will impact the time that you have to spend with a customer. And depending on how well you get at this process, you may have to take a shortcut, but don't unless you really, really know what the heck you're doing. Okay? So that's all. This is a very, very important part of this process. And selling is a process.
Yes, it is. All right, Mr. Shinneberry.
So I will just add to what Mike just said. Don't take shortcuts, because if you take shortcuts, you tend to get lost. It's easy to get lost. Follow the process. The other thing I wanted to add is take notes. It's okay to take notes. I still struggle with this today after all these years. Take notes. Have a notebook or a piece of paper with you. If you're taking notes when a customer is talking to you, you're showing that you care. You're actually listening, and it's okay. And the only other thing I want to add is everyone, please be safe in these uncertain times. It's a scary world. I have now lost 2 people that I know personally to this virus.
Wow.
And just be safe.
Okay. Good comments. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mark.
Okay.
And yeah, here in Ohio and Michigan, we do seem to be getting hit pretty hard, aren't we? So, yeah, keep it up. Keep it up. By the way, Mike's in Ohio too. He's an Ohioan with us. He's about halfway between you and me, Mark. So
I don't
That's
know
right.
if you guys heard or not. They canceled Detroit International Auto Show because
Saw that.
they're turning the convention center into a field hospital, a 1,000-bed hospital.
yeah. Okay. All right. So why am I doing them? Basically, they're free, and I want to help people. I want to help people. So I want to help in this time of stress. I want to do that. If you do have any questions, you can contact me. If you want to get a hold of either Mike or Mark, contact me, and I'll be glad to put you in touch with them also. And you can find both of them on Facebook and LinkedIn. So there you are. They both are great folks also.
Okay, guys. Well,
Thank you.
see you next time.
That's it. Next time. And I'm going to, first of all, stop the slideshow. So now we're big again. And I'm going to end the event. So, guys, thank you very much. And I will see you
Okay.
next time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks.